Hello to everyone. We are going to talk about the project number 2 and also about Tom Sawyer. The team members are David, Rosa, and me, Patricia. First, I'm going to talk about the summary. We follow the adventure of Tom. The story involves a mix of childhood experience, moral dilemmas, and escapes, despite the ups and downs of Tom's life in a small town. He encourages challenge and family drama, including being unjustly punished by his aunt. One day, Tom pretends to have a sore foot to avoid school, but ultimately go to class and meet Becky, and they form a romantic connection. Another day, Tom and his friend Huck witness a murder in a cemetery but promise to keep it a secret. Later, they steal a boat, go to an island, and have various adventures. Tom's emotion and experience fluctuate, including witnessing his aunt concern from him and her prayer. The story continues with the surprising return of Tom and his friend from death, which bring immense joy to the town. Summer arrives and George arrives to hear the story related to Mark Potter and the murder. And Tom eventually confesses what he knows, leading to Indian Joe's escape. Tom became famous in the valley, and he and Huck set out to find treasures in an old school, and they also find a significant amount of money and gold. Becky returned with her family, and they all go on a picnic to a cave. Tom, Becky, and their friends get lost in the cave, and Indian Joe is revealed to be there. After their rescue, Indian Joe is found dead in the cave. Tom and Huck later retrieve the hidden treasure. The community is relieved, and Tom began to plan new adventures as the story concludes. I also going to talk about the reflection. Tom's story highlights the complexity of the character and the themes of adventure, independence, and misunderstanding. It's evident that Tom is a hyperactive child who desire adventure and excitement. His independence spirit of led to conflict with authority figure, but it also shaped his journey for freedom. Don vivid imagination and creativity are central to his character as he creates elaborate games and scenarios. However, his emotions play a significant role in influencing his, his actions, and the text portrays his moment of sadness and loneliness, his feeling of not being understood by his family, and his thoughts of running away or even suicide are reflective of the struggles that some children today face due to the lack of understanding and support from their family. It emphasizes the often underappreciated value of the people we have in our life, the realization that we miss them only when they are no longer with us is a common aspect of human nature, and the text portrays this poignantly through the community reaction to Tom, Job, and Huck's support death. The observation that even in sadness, Tom finds inspiration to follow his dream is an inspiring element of the story. The reflection touch on the desire from Tom's family to have found better methods to understand and help him, emphasize the importance of empathy and communication with the family to prevent children from their feeling alienated and unsupported. However, the reflection also highlights the mistreatment of health and the need for understanding and support. It suggests that if there were one thing to change in the story, it would be for people to learn the value of others, offering support and helping they become better version of themselves. The desire for all people to find happiness underscore the reflection code for empathy and appreciation in our interaction with others. These themes resonate with many readers as they reflect on their own life and relationship. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Hello, teacher. My name is Beatriz Leon, and I'm going to continue with the grammar corner. And I'm going to start with fronting. Then I'm going to talk about cleft sentences. And I have here the definition for fronting. Fronting is a grammatical term that refers to the process of moving a word or phrase from its normal position in a sentence to the beginning of it, for emphasis or for stylistic purposes. I'm going to continue with the uses. The first one to emphasize a particular word or phrase in a sentence. The second one to create a more formal tone in writing. And the last one to create a more dramatic effect in speech. I'm going to continue with some examples that I have here. In this case, at the beginning, we have the normal word order, and then we have the sentence fronting. And the first one, I bought a new camera. If we want to have the sentence fronted, we can change the order. A new camera I bought. And in this case, we are emphasizing that it was a new camera where I bought. The second example, at the normal word order, he removed the lid carefully. And if I want to emphasize that he removed it carefully, so we can change the order of the sentence, and we can place the adverb at the beginning of the sentence. So we can say, carefully, he removed the lid. And with the last one, the normal word order is, it started to snow all of a sudden. And if we want to emphasize that it happened all of a sudden, we can say, all of a sudden, comma, it started to snow. So, and in this case, we already have the fronted sentences. And I have here some other examples. When fronting involves a prepositional phrase, we often change the order of the subject and verb. I have here the formula, that is the prepositional phrase followed by the verb plus subject, and it is the most common word order. The first example, a little shop stood on the corner. That is the normal sentence. And if we want to change the sentence to a fronted sentence, as the rule says, the formula, you have first to write the prepositional phrase, in this case on the corner. Then we have to write the verb, stood, and at the end, the subject and the complement. In this case, the fronted sentence would be, on the corner stood a little shop. And the same with the second one. The normal sentence is, the president of Chile was in front of me. As we already know, the rule says that we have to write first the prepositional phrase, in this case, in front of me, then the verb, in this case, it is the verb to be, was, and after it, the subject or the complement. It would be, in front of me was the president of Chile. Okay, and I'm going to continue with the cleft sentences. The definition, cleft sentences are a grammatical construction used to emphasize a particular part of a sentence by splitting it into two clauses. They typically consist of a main clause and a subordinate clause, and they serve to highlight or focus on a specific element within the sentence. I'm going to continue with the uses. Here we have that is to mark the subject, to mark the object, or to mark an adverbial phrase. I have here the examples. The formula that we have here is the it clause plus the marked element that would be or could be the subject, the object, or adverbial phrase, plus the relative pronoun, if it is necessary, plus the remainder of the sentence. In this case, we have here for the first function to mark the subject. Well, at the beginning, beginning with a standard unmarked active voice clause, such as Robert wrote a message to her sister last week. Well, this is the original sentence that we have. After that, we have to insert the pronoun it plus the verb to be in the correct tense at the beginning to get. It was. You already have the pronoun it with the verb to be, was. Robert wrote a message to her sister last week. Well, then we have to insert the correct relative pronoun with the subject as the antecedent between the it clause and the subject of the original clause to get. It was Robert who or that wrote a message to her sister last week. Well, in this case, as we already know, that is Robert, he's a person, so we have to use a relative pronoun that is the best option for Robert. In this case, we can use who or that because he's a person. And it would be, as I already said, it was Robert who wrote a message to her sister last week. And I'm going to continue with the second one, the second function, that is to mark the object, sorry. And we have here the sentence. It was a message that Robert wrote to her sister last week. So the same as in the subject, we have to use the pronoun it, the verb to be. And in this case, as we are trying to remark or to mark the object, we use the object of the sentence, a message. Then the relative pronoun, we can use it or not because it is not necessary in this case because it is an object. So it would be, it was a message that Robert wrote to her sister last week. And the last one is to mark an adverbial phrase. And it was last week or to her sister that Robert wrote a message. In this case, we have both options because we can use whatever of them. And in this case, we're going to use last week. It was last week that Robert wrote a message. And in this case, also we can choose if we want to use the relative pronoun or not. And it is solved for me. Thank you so much.
Hi teacher, my name is David Polanco and I'm going to speak about the substitution subject. Okay, next slide. We can find the definition and we can know that it's an act of replacing a word or phrase in a sentence or discourse with another linguistic element, often for the purpose of avoiding redundancy, maintaining coherence, or simplifying a language. In the next one, we can notice that we have three uses. The first one is avoiding repetition, that is related to know that substitution is commonly used to avoid repeating the same word or phrase in the sentence or text, always making the language more concise, effective, and reader friendly. And the second, we have maintaining coherence, we are referring to the previously mentioned element of ideas. And the last one is the simplifying language. And the substitution can simplify complex and lengthy sentence by replacing a long phrase with a shorter, more easily comprehensible term. Okay, we can pass with the example and let me show two examples to avoid the repetition. The first is we have Carlos has a cat and loves it. He takes care of it every day. And we can notice that he, the pronoun he, is replacing, substituting for Carlos to avoid the repetition, to be more concise. Okay, and the second is she's a talented artist. Her paintings are beautiful. And it's easy to know that her painting, and we can substitute with she. It is clear, we can continue. Okay, in this case, I'm going to present two examples from the book. Uh, okay, in the first is Tom, they are human. That is all math butter boys. He is drunk, as usual. He won't see us. In this part, it's easy to know that he is the pronoun that is replacing Tom. And the second is Potter start running just to watching him. In this case, we can notice that him is the purpose to not repeat Potter. So that is like can work. Okay, we continue with the ellipsis. And okay, we can read the definition to have the knowledge and to see the difference between ellipsis and substitution. Okay, is the omission of one or more word, phrase, or clauses from a sentence or discourse, while the omitted elements are implied or understood based on the context of your content. Okay, we can pass to know what is the uses. We have the first one that is avoiding redundancy, and we can know that ellipsis is used to avoid repeating information that has already been stated or can be easily inferred from the context. And the second is maintaining consonance. It allows for more concise and efficient information communication by omitting unnecessary words or phrases. And the third, that is the last one, conveying shared knowledge. Ellipses rely on the assumption that the speaker and the listener share common knowledge, making it possible to meet certain information. So let's see some example avoiding redundancy. Okay, in the first, she can play the guitar, he the piano, and it's easy to know that we are omitting she can. And the second is I like chocolate, my brother might be. In this case, we are meaning after the semicolon ice cream because it's not necessary. It's already perfect. Okay, we can continue with the example from the book. And this first is she turned and caught a small boy. And it's not necessary to repeat she turned. So, and the second is he know that I do not want to hit him, but I should. What I should hit him is the part that I'm omitting. So, thank you so much. And